Hello again, friends! It's already the second week of April, and things are moving fast as usual. In this week, Meta re-entered the frontier race on April 8th with Muse Spark, the first model out of its new superintelligence labs under Alexandr Wang. Anthropic countered the same week with a controlled release of Claude Mythos Preview under Project Glasswing, granting approximately 40 security partners early access to a model that has already identified thousands of zero days. OpenAI told investors to expect $2.5 billion in ad revenue in 2026 and $100 billion by 2030, reframing what the company is. Minimax open-sourced M2.7, a self-evolving agent model that autonomously drove 30 to 50% of its own RL development. NVIDIA's National Robotics Week opened Groot N 1.7 for commercial licensing and shipped Isaac Sim 6.0. Now let us move on to the details. On April 8th, Meta unveiled Muse Spark, the first model to ship out of its newly formed Meta Superintelligence Labs, and the first meaningful frontier release from the company since the Llama line started to fall behind. Codenamed Avocado internally, the model was built over 9 months by a team led by Alexandr Wang, the former Scale AI CEO that Meta acquired in a $14 billion deal last year specifically to rebuild the company's AI leadership. Muse Spark is natively multimodal and accepts voice, text, and image inputs. It supports tool use, visual chain of thought, and, notably, multi-agent orchestration. Meta AI can now spawn parallel subagents to tackle different facets of a query simultaneously. On the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, Muse Spark scores 52, placing it fourth behind only Gemini 3.1 Pro, GPT 5.4, and Claude Opus 4.6. Muse Spark is the first concrete evidence that the Superintelligence Labs reorg is producing research, not just org charts. If the trajectory holds, the Big Four becomes a Big Five again, and every competitive calculation, pricing, talent acquisition, distribution, shifts. On April 7th, Anthropic did something unusual. It announced a model it is deliberately not releasing broadly. Claude Mythos Preview, the successor to Opus 4.6 that Anthropic has been developing quietly since January, is strikingly capable at computer security tasks. In internal testing, it identified and exploited vulnerabilities in over 80% of cases and has already cataloged thousands of zero-day flaws across every major operating system and browser. Rather than ship it to the API, Anthropic launched Project Glasswing, a controlled access program giving the model to roughly 40 critical infrastructure partners, including AWS, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Chase, Microsoft, and NVIDIA, along with select open-source maintainers. The explicit goal: let defenders patch critical systems before comparable capabilities become widely available. Reports surfaced on April 9th that OpenAI has told investors to expect $2.5 billion in advertising revenue in 2026, scaling to $11 billion in 2027, $25 billion in 2028, $53 billion in 2029, and $100 billion by 2030. The projection assumes OpenAI's products reach 2.75 billion weekly users by decade's end. The ChatGPT ad pilot that launched in January has already generated $100 million in annualized revenue over 6 weeks, with more than 600 advertisers. The numbers matter less than the framing. OpenAI is a subscription and API business today. By 2030, on this trajectory, it would be a platform and ads business with subscriptions as the secondary line. That's a fundamentally different company, one whose incentives, data practices, and product surface area diverge sharply from Anthropic's ad-free posture. It also lays the groundwork for the potential IPO the company has floated for late 2026. Investors want multiple scaling revenue lines, not just enterprise subscriptions. On April 12th, Minimax open-sourced M2.7, an MOE agent model that combines three things that rarely land together: competitive benchmarks, genuine openness, and a credible claim to self-improvement. On SWE Pro, M2.7 scores 56.22%, matching GPT 5.3 codecs. On Terminal Bench 2, it hits 57.0%, and NL2 repo clocks in at 39.8%. These are frontier-adjacent numbers for a model you can download and run. The headline claim is self-evolution. Over 100-plus autonomous iterative rounds, M2.7 drove 30 to 50% of its own reinforcement learning development workflow, reading logs, debugging, analyzing failure trajectories, modifying scaffold code, running evaluations, and deciding whether to keep or revert changes. This is the first major open-source release that meaningfully operationalizes the self-improvement loops the field has been theorizing about for 2 years. Time to National Robotics Week, April 5th to 12th. NVIDIA opened commercial licensing for GR00T 1.7, the first production-ready tier of its humanoid robot foundation model family, and announced GR00T 2, the next-generation foundation model built on Dream Zero research that more than doubles task success rates versus leading vision language action baselines. The company also shipped Isaac Sim 6.0, Isaac Lab 3.0, and the 1.0 release of its open-source Newton physics engine, which provides fast collision detection and contact simulation for dexterous manipulation. Adoption signals are real. ABB, Fanuc, and KUKA, three of the largest industrial robot makers in the world, have publicly committed to the stack. The Cosmos World Model Family, which generates synthetic training data, rounds out the release. Together, these are the most coherent, full-stack physical AI offering any vendor has shipped. And they arrived the same week our Spatial Architectures tutorial argued that geometric inductive biases are about to become non-optional for robotics. And that's it for this week, friends. As usual, we always wish you stay healthy and, importantly, positive and energetic all the time. Let us all create more useful things. Cheers from our Artificial team. Have the rest of the week ahead, and until next week.